Hi, and welcome to your video on characterization in 1984. Orwell is a master of characterization, and the ways that he's describing these characters have meant that these characters have lived on in the minds of generations of people who've read this text since it was published in 1949. So I personally have a favorite with Parsons, Tom Parsons. So he is Winston, the main character's neighbor in the book, and I'm really taken in with the various ways in which Parsons is introduced to us. So step one, we first see Parsons when he's not there. We see that his environment is there. Winston visits his apartment, but Tom himself isn't there. And instead we just kind of see the way that Tom Parsons is living through this wonderful description of the setting. So I've highlighted it here. I'm just going to read through it and talk about all the ways in which Orwell just nails this. So he starts by saying, the Parsons' flat was bigger than Winston's and dingy in a different way. So just kind of general overview, description, topic, sentence. And then he says, everything had a battered, trampled on look, as though the place had just been visited by some large, violent animal. Love this. So both of these statements are kind of overview statements. He's not going into the specific details, but he's giving us an overview comment. And this idea that there's a simile here of it looks like a scene in the outdoors, a scene in wilderness, where a large violent animal has been there. So there's really, when you think about that, when you think about this being an interior space where humans are living, you really get a sense that there's kind of something primal or animalistic about the people who are living there, which is beautiful and definitely describes Parsons and his children's particularly. So now he's going to go into a giant list of all the stuff that he's seeing. It's almost as if it's a like kind of film montage where there's just a quick shot of each of these different items. He says games, impedimenta, long M dash, here we get our list. Hockey sticks, boxing gloves, a burst football, a pair of sweaty shorts turned inside out. Another M dash to end the list. Lay all over the floor, and on the table there was a litter of dirty dishes and dog-eared exercise books. On the walls were scarlet banners of the Youth League and the Spies, and a full-size poster of Big Brother. That's the end of our kind of visual inventory of the space. Now, another thing Orwell does beautifully is he moves into discussing smells. So here we see that. There was the usual boiled cabbage smell, common to the whole building, but it was shot through by a sharper reek of sweat, which one knew this at the first sniff, though it was hard to say how, was the sweat of some person not present at the moment. So the smell is this animal who's no longer there, who was a part of creating the mess, and that is Tom Parsons himself. And somehow there's a way in which Winston, encountering this, realizes almost as if he's countering the cave of a bear or something that's no longer in the cave. He can kind of smell it. The sweat's there. He knows that there's an animal that lives there. And he closes it off by taking us into another moment that he notices in another room. In another room, someone with a comb and a piece of toilet paper was trying to keep tune with the military music which was issuing from the telescreen. So he walks into the flat, we get a kind of overview, then we get a list, then we get a smell, then he hears something and he turns his attention elsewhere. So it's a beautiful cinematic way of kind of beginning to introduce Parsons even before we see Parsons through his setting. So I suggest you try to use setting in a deliberate way to sort of show us how the different characters in your piece are also living. It's a powerful, powerful tool. Thanks.